friends, in this video we are going to discuss the topic key behaviors and helpful behaviors for effective teaching. So, this is one of the most important areas under the module teaching aptitude. So, basically we have 5 key behaviors as well as 5 helpful behaviors which are associated with effective teaching. So, if you know which are the 5 different behaviors which is associated with these 2 categories, then this area will be very easier for you. So, basically the questions from this area is like you will be given various behaviors as the options and you have to identify either the helpful behaviors or the key behaviors. So, if you know it, you can easily score good marks, but if you do not know it, it is a bit difficult for you to identify these 2 categories as such. So, now we are moving to the topic. So, Gary D. Borish in his work Effective Teaching Methods Research Based Practice, he has identified key behaviors as well as helpful behaviors which are associated with effective teaching, or the key behaviors and the helpful behaviors that make teachers effective. So, as I have already mentioned, we have 5 key behaviors as well as 5 helpful behaviors. So, under key behaviors you have lesson clarity, instructional variety, teacher task orientation, engagement in the learning process and student success rate. So, these are the 5 different key behaviors that will help the teachers to be more effective. Okay. So, now we are moving to each of these behaviors in detail. So, what do you mean by lesson clarity? So, when you consider a classroom, you have students who is having various levels of understanding, right. So, your ideas, the ideas that you are conveying to your students should be clear to all learners at all levels. These ideas will be clear for all the students in your class, and that should be conveyed in a very clear step by step manner. It should be conveyed in an order, so that they can be clearly understood. Okay. And also these ideas that you are conveying in a classroom should be uncomplicated as well as with minimal distractions. So, this is what you mean by lesson clarity. So, when you are teaching something, when you are giving or when you are conveying various ideas, it should be understood by all the students at all levels, and these ideas should be conveyed in a very step by step manner, or it should be ordered, and it is of these ideas should be uncomplicated and also it should be with minimum distractions. So, that is all about lesson clarity. Now, we are moving to the next key behavior, that is instructional variety. So, what is instructional variety? It refers to the flexibility or the variety that you are introducing in the delivery of the message that you are making at a class. So, when you are conveying, when you are delivering different messages or when you are teaching the students, you have to adopt various kinds of mediums. You have to use various methods in order to deliver these messages. So, you can actually use various attention gaining devices, or you can show enthusiasm so that the students will be also get that kind of an attitude towards learning, and you can use various methods of presentation, you can use various methodologies or various techniques in order to deliver the message that you are conveying to the students, and also you can use various reward and punishment as well. So, if your students are doing something really nice, you can just give them some rewards, or you can give some you can praise them so that they will be encouraged to do the same in the future as well. Or if you are making some mistakes, you can just punish them, but the thing is you have to use variety in all these methods. You have to show enthusiasm, you have to use variety of modes or methods in order to deliver these messages, and also there should be variety in your rewards and punishments that you are giving as well. So, these are the various aspects which are associated with instructional variety. So, we have discussed lesson clarity, then instructional variety, then we are moving to the third key behavior, that is teacher task orientation. What do you mean by teacher task orientation? So, this particular behavior which refers to the amount of classroom time the teacher devotes to teaching an academic subject. So, when you consider a classroom, you know that you have various activities that should be included within the classroom, right. So, you have different procedural matters like you have to take the attendance, and then you have to collect the homeworks. So these are the various things that you have to associate or you have to include within the classroom. So you might be getting an hour of class, or it is sometimes it will be 45 minutes. So within that particular time frame you have to do so much of things. So what this teacher task orientation means, it refers to the amount of time that you are using in order to teach that particular subject. So you have to prioritize different tasks, or you have to give fixed time for each and every task that you have to include in a class, so that you will get appropriate enough time to teach them, to teach the students the particular thing that you want to teach them. So that is teacher task orientation. You have to prioritize, you have to set time for each and every task that you are going to do inside the classroom, so that it will provide enough time for you to convey, or enough time for you to teach the academic subject. So we know that we have various activities that is involved within a class. So you have to give specific time for each and every task that you are playing inside a classroom. That is teacher task orientation. Now we are moving to the next key behavior, that is engagement in the learning process. So this refers to the time or the amount of time that the students are devoting for learning inside a classroom. So it can be indicative of various things. So elicit the behavior immediately after the instructional stimuli, provides opportunity for feedback. So make sure that your students are really engaged in the process of learning. So it refers to the time that these students are devoting for learning inside the classroom. So after you have taught something, you have to give them opportunities in order to speak out their opinions, or you have to give them some work so that you can get some feedbacks from them. So that is a kind of method or an approach through which you can make these students more engaged in the learning process. Teaching is like, you have to give them the ideas, you have to teach them, and after that you have to make sure that these students are really engaged in the process of learning, so that you can just ask them some questions, or you can give them a platform where they will get an opportunity to give you certain feedbacks. So always make sure that they are engaged in the process of learning. So engagement in the learning process. So after that, as I have already mentioned, we can use various methods in order to make sure that your students are engaged in the process of learning. Right. So for that, as I have already mentioned, you can give them a platform where they can actually provide with feedbacks, and also you can give them individual as well as group activities. So while they are doing these activities, that is giving them an opportunity to get closer or to get more engaged or involved in the learning process. And also when you are giving these works, you have to monitor them, you have to monitor seat works, you have to go to them, you have to walk in between them, and so that you can understand how they are doing these works. And also when they are doing this work, when they are having some independent practices, you have to check whether these students are doing it. So you have to frequently check it, you have to monitor it, whether these students inside the classroom, if they are doing the works that you have already given to them. And also you can use meaningful verbal praise as well. When you are monitoring their works, you have already taught them a particular subject, now you have given them some works, and now you are monitoring them whether they are doing the works properly. And if you are seeing that some students are doing it really nice, so then you can just encourage them, you can just use some verbal praise, so that will make them more involved in the process of learning. They will be more encouraged, so that they can really perform well in the learning process as such. So that is all about engagement in the learning process. Now we are moving to the final key behavior that we need to learn, that is student success rate. So what do you mean by student success rate? The rate at which a student understands and correctly complete exercises and assignments. So that is what you mean by student success rate. How much these students are understanding what they are learning. That is student success rate, and it also indicates how correctly or how correctly they are completing the exercises and assignments that you are giving to them as well. So that is all about student success rate. So we have discussed 5 different key behaviors that are associated with effective teaching, and now we are moving to the 5 helpful behaviors. So what are the 5 helpful behaviors? Using student ideas, structuring, questioning, probing and teacher affect. So you should have a very good idea about which are the key behaviors and which are the helpful behaviors. When you are getting questions, you have to identify from the options which are these, either the key behaviors or the helpful behaviors. So if you don't know which are the behaviors which are associated to these 2 categories, then it will become more confusing for you. So under helpful behaviors, you have using student ideas, structuring, questioning, probing and teacher affect. Now we are moving to each of these behaviors in detail. So now we have using student ideas. So what do you mean by using student ideas? Teachers should use mediated dialogues and be sure to acknowledge, modify, apply, compare and summarize student responses as necessary. So when you are teaching the students, you have to give them certain opportunities so that they can contribute or they can give their own ideas on that specific subject, and you have to make sure that you acknowledge, and if needed you have to modify, you have to apply, compare, summarize what these students gave you as responses. So they get a kind of feeling that okay, they have given you some ideas and they are getting some kind of an encouragement from that, because we are acknowledging the points that they have given us and we are summarizing what they have already given from their side. So that is using student ideas. So always make sure that to become a very effective teacher, you have to mediate some kind of dialogues with the students so that they get an opportunity to give their own views, their own ideas about that specific subject that that you have taught them, and always make sure that you acknowledge it, if needed modify, compare it, and also make sure that you are summarizing their ideas as well. Alright, so now we are moving to the next helpful behavior, that is structuring. So what do you mean by structuring? The teacher should reinforce the learned content and place it in relation to new content. Teachers should give organized lessons of what is to come and summarize what has been taught. So the basic meaning of structuring is that you should have to deliver the message, or you should have to deliver the ideas in a very systematic, structured manner. So when you are going to teach the students something, you have to connect it with what they have learned in the past. If there is something that they have learned in the past which is associated with the new content that you are bringing them, so make sure that you are mentioning that, so that they can make a link between what they have already learned to the new lessons that they are going to study. So that is what this structuring is all about. You have to make a relationship between the already existing knowledge or already known things to the new content, and the teacher should give a very structured, organized manner of teaching as well. They have to organize these lessons so that these students will get an idea about what is to come, what they are going to study, as well as when you summarize what they has been taught, that will give them an idea so that they can link what they already know with the new content that they are going to learn. So it should be in a structured, organized manner. That is what we can understand from structuring. Now we are moving to the next helpful behavior, that is questioning. So what do you mean by questioning? You have to use a variety of questions when you are teaching the students. So this should be include questions that require more thinking and problem solving as well. When you are teaching something, don't stop it by that teaching process itself. You can just use different types of questions. So you can use variety of questions, and this will help the students to think a bit more about this particular area that they have already learned, and that will increase their thinking capabilities as well as problem solving capacities as well. So they have already learned a particular topic and you are giving them some questions, so they start thinking about it they started thinking about it much, and it will help them to develop their thinking capacities. And also if you are giving them some situations, and if you are asking some questions that are based on it, it will also help them to identify, or it help them to increase or develop their problem solving capacities as well. So that is what we are concerned about in questioning. So always make sure that when you are teaching, make sure that you are using a variety of questions that will increase the thinking and the problem solving capacities of the students. Now we are moving to the next helpful behavior, that is probing. So when you are teaching, always make sure that you are giving everything explicitly to the students. You have to give them a chance, you have to give them an opportunity to think about it, to search about it. So that is what you mean by probing. Draw more out of student responses by getting students to elaborate on their ideas. So when you are teaching something to your students, you have to give them some opportunities so that they can give their responses to you, so that will help them to elaborate on their own ideas. So when you are giving them that kind of a platform, that will help them to think more about that particular subject, so that will bring new ideas to them, and it will also give them a platform where they can elaborate on their own ideas. So that is what we mean by probing. And here the student is also trying to discover the content rather than being explicitly getting it from the teacher. So here what is happening, we are giving them a chance where the student can search about that particular topic, or the students can discover the content by themselves, so that more than giving them everything explicitly, it will give them a platform, a kind of opportunity where they can search and identify, they can search and discover more about that particular area. So that will help them to elaborate on their own ideas, as well as that will help them to search and find more ideas which are associated with the topic that they are learning. So that is all about probing. So always remember that if you want to be an effective teacher, don't ever give everything explicitly to the students. Give them a chance to discover more on that subject as well. So now we are moving to the last helpful behavior, that is teacher affect. So what do you mean by teacher affect? Always make sure that you are having a good relationship with your students. So develop the teacher-learner relationship by use of enthusiasm. So you should make a kind of relationship with your students, so that they can get a feel that, so okay, my teacher is approachable. So when you are really enthusiastic, the students will get an idea, okay, I can just go and talk to her or talk to him. So that kind of a relationship is very important in teaching as well. So that is the most important, or the final helpful behavior that you can associate with effective teaching. So we have discussed 5 key behaviors and 5 helpful behaviors which are associated with effective teaching. So as I have mentioned in the beginning, this is a very easy area if you know it. If you know correctly which are the 5 key behaviors and which are the 5 helpful behaviors, this will be very easier for you. You just have to identify these behaviors from the options. But if you don't know it, it will be struggling for you to identify these as well. So now we are moving to a few questions that were asked from this particular area. So that will make this entire concept, and that will make it more clearer how you can expect questions from this area as well. So this is a question which was asked in December 2018. So the question goes like this: which of the following are considered as key behaviors of effective teaching as evident from researchers? So as I have already mentioned, the questions will be in this pattern. You will be given certain options from which you have to identify either the key behaviors or the helpful behaviors. Okay. So if you consider the options here, you have structuring through comments made for organizing what is to come, asking process or content based questions, lesson clarity implying the extent to which teacher's presentation is clear to the class. Then you have option D, that is using student ideas and contributions while the teacher is presenting the subject. Then you have instructional variety involving teachers' variability and flexibility during presentation. Complete the exercises. Student success rate implying the rate at which students understand and understand it correctly. So the thing is, you have to identify the key terms that we have identified in the key behaviors as well as the helpful behaviors. That will help you in understanding or answering these types of questions. So the question here is to identify the key behaviors. Okay. So now you know what are the key behaviors and the helpful behaviors. So if you consider option A, it says structuring. So structuring is basically a helpful behavior. It is not a key behavior, but the question here is key behavior, so you can just cut off that option. Then you have asking process or content based question. So questioning is again a helpful behavior, so that cannot be an answer for this particular question. And C is lesson clarity. So lesson clarity is the first key behavior that we have learned. So that can be an answer for this question. So option C will be an answer. So then you have option D, that is using student ideas and contributions while the teacher is presenting the subject. So using student ideas and contribution, that is a helpful behavior. Then we have option E, that is instructional variety, that is the key term that is associated with key behaviors, and F you have student success rate. So that is the keyword, student success rate. So in this case we can say that option C, then you have E and F. These are the key behaviors that are associated with effective teaching, and the other options are associated with helpful behaviors. So in that case C, E and F is the right answer. C, E and F is option B. So the right answer for this question is option B. Moving to the next question, this is again asked in December 2018. Which of the following is an indicator of key behavior in effective teaching as evident from researchers? Again, this is based on key behaviors in effective teaching, and you have the options: teacher effect in developing teacher-learner relationship, engagement in learning by students, using student ideas and contributions, use of process and content, questions during teaching. So what you have to identify from this is you have to find out the key behavior which is associated to effective teaching, and you already know it, engagement in learning. Student engagement in learning is a key behavior, and this teacher affect using student ideas and using questions, that is what here it mentions, right, questioning. These are associated with the helpful behaviors that are in effective teaching, the helpful behaviors in effective teaching. In that case the right answer for this question is option B, because we have to identify the key behavior in effective teaching, and the option B, engagement in learning by students, is a key behavior. So the right answer is option D. Moving towards the next question, this was asked in June 2020. From the following, identify those characteristics which go within the category helping behavior for becoming an effective teacher. So the previous two questions were based on key behaviors, and this question is based on helping behaviors or helpful behaviors. So you have the options: structuring student success rate, using student ideas, probing, and instructional variety. So you have to find out the helping behaviors or the helpful behaviors. In that case you already know that student success rate and instructional variety, these two are associated with key behaviors. Structuring, using student ideas, and probing are different types of helpful behaviors or helping behaviors associated with this effective teaching. In that case you can select the options which are A, then you have C and D. So A, C and D, so the right answer for this question is option D. So the next question was asked in December 2018. In the following list, identify those statements which are indicative of helping behavior of effective teaching. Select from the card to give your answer. Again, this is based on helpful behavior or helping behavior of effective teaching, and you have to find out the options, the right options that you can associate with the given question. And you have the options: instructional variety marked by multiple devices used, using the ideas of students while making presentations, students' success rate as evident in correctly understanding the assignments, engagement in learning tasks, teacher affect is manifest in relations with students, probing to add and seek classifications of ideas. So if you just consider these options one by one, instructional variety is a key behavior, right? It is a key behavior. What you have to find out here is helping behavior or helpful behavior. In that case you can just eliminate, you can cut off this particular option, instructional variety. Then you have using the ideas of students while making presentation. So using students' ideas is a helping behavior. In that case you can just opt option B. Student success rate is a key behavior. So that can be cut off because your question is based on helping behavior. Then you have engagement in learning tasks. Again, that is a key behavior, so that cannot be an answer for this question. Then you have option E, teacher affect, that is a helpful behavior, you can take it. And then you have probing, that is again a helpful behavior. In that case you have option B, Then E and F as answer for this question. B, E and F is option A. In that case, the right answer for this question is option A. So, in this video we have discussed the topic key behaviors and helpful behaviors which are associated with effective teaching. So, this is how you have to approach the various concepts that are associated with Nta Ugc NET paper 1. So, you just have to go to the concepts, you have to study it and also make sure that you are practicing the questions that were asked from these areas as well, because that will give you a more clearer idea about the concepts, and also you can learn how you can expect questions from each of these concepts also. So, Appleby Academy is following that kind of an approach in our learning process as well. We are providing with live classes, live interactive sessions, and also we are bringing our students a platform, an online platform which can be called as learning management system, in which we are providing the learning resources in various formats. You will be given notes, detailed notes of each modules, and also you will be given pre-recorded video classes, and the PowerPoint presentations which are used in these pre-recorded videos will be also available in this platform. And you can also go to the test paper session where you can practice the questions in exact Nta format. So, our exam software is similar to NTA's exam software, so that will give you a more accurate practice in your test papers as well. So, you are also given, or you are having a WhatsApp doubt clearance session as well, where you can just send your doubts to the educators and you will be given an option where you can clear your doubts as well. So, if you are interested to know more about these facilities, you can just call to the number that is given in the description box. So, I hope this video will be really helpful for you in your preparations. Thank you. Happy learning.